Hello, good evening, everyone. Who's ready for some true crime? And I am so excited to introduce the one and only CJ. How are you doing, CJ?
We're back. We're back in the game. I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. So CJ and I have a pretty packed uh, a night plan for you guys. We were originally only going to do David and I think Nancy Guthrie. And then, of course, like CJ and I, this is what we do. We talk true crime all the time, just as friends. And before we knew it, I think we have like 100 slides for you guys. So I want to say we saw you guys in the chat. Hello to everyone. And yeah, we're just going to have to get right in there. So let's start with who's our first one? Nancy Guthrie and Sheriff Bananos. Here we go. It's been a while since we have talked about this case, mainly because I felt like a lot of the updates weren't really updates. It was like, all right, she did an interview, I don't know. I didn't think it was worth really covering because it doesn't tell us anything about what the case, in my opinion. I don't know. What did you think of that interview, CJ?
No, I agree. I felt like it was a little too late, and I know that it might sound like a bit insensitive, and that's not like my intention, but I just felt like, um, it probably would have been better for her to give it earlier because, I know she was trying to plead to the kidnapper and stuff, but it's just statistically and just from my background and like missing people and stuff, um, like it's been so many days to, plea to the kidnapper to, release her or whatever. Like I don't know, it just felt like it was a little bit too late. But I didn't watch all of it. I watched some clips um of it, and yeah, that was the only opinion I had was like, well, I wish she would have done this like a long time ago. And I know she made those little short videos, but it wasn't as impactful as the interview was, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think it was hard, and we'll get there because Sheriff Nanos was originally their the lead of the case pretty much, and it kind of he still is, but that's I think that she was listening to him and trying to let the law enforcement do its job, and then they had all the resources of the FBI, and you would think in this day and age with the FBI, you would be able to get some answers. And unfortunately, I think that's what happens a lot of time. Like if you're sick, you trust the doctor, and sometimes they're wrong, or you get the incompetent one or whatever. And I think in this case, they really trusted law enforcement to do their job, and I just feel like the ball was dropped tremendously on them. But here we go. Look, Savannah
Really
Guthrie.
quick, I wanted to piggyback off what you said because you know what, it is true. With my experience with missing people, the law enforcement does tell them don't talk, don't give interviews, things like that. But there's, you have like the Steve Gonzalez types, or like,
Mhm.
the people who just speak up against law enforcement because they're like, dude, I want to know. Because remember, they told the Gonzalez family in the Idaho
Stop
4
talking.
case to
Yeah.
not plea, or to, this is before they found Koberger. This is when somebody was out there that had done this to their kids. And it was like, don't go on the news, don't talk, don't be um like saying things or whatever. And I get it because it's an active investigation, but like uh I felt like she should have been more like Steve. But I mean, like you said, she was just listening to law enforcement, and it's very likely, given what I know, that yeah, law enforcement does do that. Like, don't talk. And especially if the FBI was involved, they were the ones probably telling her just do like a short snippet or whatever.
And well, but I think that they finally it sounds like her brother is really smart. He was like in the Air Force, I believe, and he apparently he as soon as he got to the crime scene and everything, he was like, "Oh, this was a kidnapping for ransom." And that was, I think, the biggest takeaway from that interview. And he seemed to have recognized it right away. He seemed very smart. And it looks like, I don't know, maybe hopefully they've hired like their own private investigators or whatever, and have people really doing interviews in the community thankfully I think it was nice that she went back to work today. She was back at the Today Show. She said it was nice to be home. That's like her second home. It's her home away from home. She was wearing yellow in honor of her mother. And she did the thing, at the Today Show when they walk outside and they greet the fans, and she was greeting the fans, and they had nice signs and were showing her love. So I think she does feel the public support, and I cannot imagine being in her situation. And I hope that like there is someone with that is doing something that will get them to get answers. But I'll tell you who that won't be. It's not going to be Sheriff Nanos, Sheriff Bananos. And oh yes, let me get to this first before we get to Bananos. You guys, I can't even believe this happened. I mean, I didn't want to report on any more of TMZ's ransom notes because like at some point it just seemed like I'm like, are they just like making those ransom notes like in the back or something? How have they had so many ransom notes and not one has been like arrested? This is like that's literally extortion. And
But like the
somehow
FBI and everything is so weird unless like they just like have it so encrypted well, but then it just goes to show that like dang, these people can get away with like something like that, right? Like so people
yeah.
were joking that it was JLR that was sending it, but now it wasn't him. But yeah, there was all kinds of like people messing around like, oh, it's Harvey sending him to himself so that he can get more clicks or whatever.
And I want to just play this video because the one thing with this video that I found, well, there's a few things. One of them was, oh, here's Lori says something. She said, I watched the Pima County board meeting today and several people complained about Bananos. We
What?
he has the most slides in our thing today because we have some things to cover about him. But yeah, I agree with you, Rose Wild. TMZ is not credible, so it's hard to trust what they say. Agree. But what I did find interesting here, because remember before they weren't telling us everything they saw in those initial ransom notes, but in this clip, he does reveal that in the first one that they got that seemed somewhat legit, they said time is of the essence. And then the follow up to that, they said time is no longer of the essence. And remember, the Savannah and her family response seemed to be in response to that they understood that to mean that she's gone. Now these new ones, there was two yesterday, and one of them said that like she is no longer with us and in like Mexico, and there's multiple kidnappers, and they don't know if these two are as legit. According to Harvey, they don't seem, the FBI doesn't seem interested, but I think at a minimum they should be interested to arrest these people for extortion because that's ridiculous.
Well,
But
in
here,
a
let's watch
way,
the
it
clip.
did mobilize like the super sleuths because in the sleuthing community, like the web sleuths, they're now pivoting, or some of them are pivoting to putting the picture of the masked guy in places in Sonora, and I think even like a banner or billboard out there. And then some other sleuths are tracking like the whole way from Tucson to Sonora, like the cities and like the gas stations that and putting flyers out there. It's like a whole system now. So at the very least, it's getting her face out, south of the border in a way, even though it's like
Hers or the kidnappers? Oh, we're gonna get
or the
there, but
kidnappers. Yeah, the
yeah.
kidnappers. I meant her story, I guess, getting her story out over to that Sonora area. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Thank you, Jessica Lisi and Christina. We have our two mods here, and thank you for saying hi to everyone. Yes, hey Rath and Jane and Pam and Cutie and Roses and Michelle and Elsie and Kinney and Gelth. Hello, hello. Good to see everyone. Okay, so we're let's just get right into this clip.
You know, I will share a little bit of news with you. The person who has been incessantly contacting us,
although
saying,
stopped for a while.
Stopped for a while.
Yeah.
We got another letter today from this person, an email saying, I know where her body is and who the kidnapper is. Give me half a Bitcoin and I'll tell you. And this person has been really persistent, knowing that if it's a scam, it's a federal crime.
Right. But they also made the point that they wanted to make it clear that they have nothing to do with it.
Right.
They've been out of the country, but who knows?
We forwarded
again, we forwarded it to the FBI,
right,
as we have in the past.
Right.
And for whatever reason, and this is the thing we haven't figured out, you have to assume that the law enforcement, they believe that this person is not legit. Otherwise, they would have advised Savannah to pay the money.
Can we just be really transparent?
Uh-huh.
I think you're right that the law enforcement doesn't. There's something.
I just can't figure out why.
There's
why not
something.
take a flyer? The price of Bitcoin is much lower now. These are like, you could just take a flyer and see what the person knows. The most you lose is 20 grand, 25 grand.
I'll tell you why. My spidey senses tell me that there's something about this guy, because one of the emails he sent said early on, time is of the essence to do this. And then the next day he said, time is no longer of the essence. If he was pulling a scam, why would you say time is no longer of the essence?
Right. You want to keep the value high.
You want to keep the value high.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said this made me think this guy knows something.
Yeah, it's
And
a way to look
and-
honest
and-
as well,
and
though.
I'm not, look,
Right.
I'm
We
not
don't have-
FBI.
we don't
We're not
know.
privy to all the information they are, but
You're talking about
just
the
from the
psychology.
outside
Yeah.
looking in, it sure seems like this person knows something.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was 2
I
ransomwares.
found it compelling that he said that little part where he's like, why would he say that time isn't of the essence if he was scamming?
Well,
But
that was the original notes though, that and those they did think might have some sort of legitimate and the first notes they said that it felt like it was from like if it was legit, it would have been from the kidnappers, whereas these later ones seem like people who allegedly know who the kidnappers are. But the whole thing is still weird. Why you're asking for half a Bitcoin when you can go to the Crime Stoppers or to the FBI and get a full Bitcoin. Like they're offering the same amount as a Bitcoin. What's the rewards? Like up to $1 million now, right?
yeah, that is the weird part.
So, and I don't know. I just think and I know Harvey Levin says his quote Spidey senses thinks there is something with this latest guy, this latest note, but the FBI doesn't seem interested. And I'm like, well, at least find the effer because it is extortion. At a minimum, it's still a crime. And if we can't learn how to catch these people, people are going to I just think that people are gonna keep doing these sorts of crimes. Like, extortion is a crime still, and I hate when they do that, and I especially hate when they do it for actual missing people. I see it all the time with, like, for pets, you know, because I help with, like, rescues and animals, and when a lot of times when people are missing their pets, like, the worst of the worst scammers come out, and they're like, "Oh, wire me this money, and I'll drop the animal off," you know, and people do, and they fall for it because 'cause they're desperate. And, yeah, the last interesting thing, you know, on here and he says this, Brian Enton said the same thing about this today, that seems like the consensus is that the first 2 ones from way back when may have been legit, but none of these new ones. But I don't know. I think, like, they should definitely check I don't understand. They can't check they should at least check the TMZ computers and make sure no one's writing these up from TMZ because it's just kind of ironic. Why are they the only ones getting these notes? But the first 2 allegedly went to remember, they didn't go to just TMZ. They also went to the local news station and allegedly to the actual, like, where you put in the tip for the FBI.
Yeah, and wasn't it like another piece of that TMZ thing where he kind of says like that he started to get it like not aggressive but be like how can you not believe me? Like there was a
Yeah.
part where I think he said that.
Yeah, and I think wasn't that, like, the 3rd note or something where like, when they started asking for Bitcoin again? Um, I don't know. Yeah, but I remember they were like, "Yeah, take me seriously." Or then the other thing, because with some of these other ones, it was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the last time I reach out." Okay. And then but then there's all these other notes. So I don't know if it's a copycat or what it is. But I do find it interesting that Harvey's like, well, he's like, it makes my spidey senses go up, but the FBI doesn't seem interested. So maybe they already do have their own lead or they know something. I don't know. But anyways. Look at here's Gay Bella. She says, Spirit Animal Christina, I'm DFJ's craziest cat still. Oh, we have good news. Should I share it really quick before we
Yeah,
go?
go for it.
Ozzy got a clean bill of health today. He's officially, they said he's healing up. He looks good. No more meds, no more cone, and he's allowed to be outside on his catio again. So his enclosed catio with no coyotes. So that's all good news. Okay, let's keep going. So, Bananos. You can't spell bananas without nanos. And there's several things here. So let's first talk. I know we've kind of briefly went over the recall efforts, but this is a good little recap if you guys want to hear this. So hold on. Just want to make it bigger.
Here's what we know so far. So according to the Pima County Elections Department, a recall was launched on March 12th for the embattled sheriff. He's, of course, leading the Nancy Guthrie investigation. He's faced pretty harsh criticism for the way that he's handled that, misinformation or information being shared at different times that doesn't align with different interviews and things like that. Daniel Gutierrez, who's also collecting signatures to get on the ballot to run for Congress himself, is behind the recall effort against Nanos. And this effort comes after just days ago that Nanos had to address discrepancies in his work history in terms of the end of his employment with El Paso PD. He also has a lawsuit filed against him from an inmate, filed against him and his department over COVID-19 handlings. And Sheriff Nanos has been controversial in general. He was a sheriff, then he was not. That was an issue. Then he's now back to sheriff. So it's not been just a smooth sailing ride for Nanos even before the Nancy Guthrie investigation. But obviously now there's a hyper fixation, a lot of people, a lot of scrutiny as the world watches this investigation unfold. Gutierrez will have 120 days from March 12th to collect more than 120,000 signatures needed to trigger an actual recall. Those need to be signatures in person, so they can't just blast this out on the internet and ask people to sign it. If enough verified signatures are collected, then a recall election will be held.
Okay, so it stopped there. So that's a lot of signatures to get in a short amount of time. But I think that Pima County is pretty motivated. I don't trust like them to be able to solve anything with Nanos at the head. And speaking of that, so now the Pima County Board of Supervisors sought legal advice on how to address allegations of perjury against Sheriff Nanos. And this was last week. And let me actually just go to this post. So we can read the whole thing, but he's basically said that the sheriff overseeing the search for Nancy Guthrie is accused of lying about his disciplinary record, claiming he had never been suspended on the job. Public records indicate he was actually suspended for multiple weeks early in his career for things like excessive force, coming to work late, failure to report for duty, and firing a gun inappropriately, all back in the 70s and 80s. More recently, Nanos is also facing scrutiny over his narrow election win over former Pima County Sheriff's Department Lieutenant Heather Lappin and a First Amendment lawsuit from the president of the County Deputies Union, Aaron Cross. And so here, actually, let me show the slides back on here. I think it'll be better. So here's was an example. So this is when he was like sworn in. So this was the under oath part. Uh-oh, did I lose CJ?
Yeah, I think I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry. So this is where he was sworn in under oath. And they said, have you ever received discipline as a law enforcement officer? He said, yes. And they said, what is the nature or extent of the discipline that you received? And he said, primarily, I would have been like, I'm not a very good driver. They said, okay. And he said, so I had a lot of car accidents. So, letter for this or documented verbal for that. And they said, did you ever receive a discipline that rose to the level of suspension? He said, no. So let's check the record on that because down here, and these aren't very good records because again, this is back in like 82 when they were like, it looks like typed on a typewriter or something. And look at this right here. He resigned in lieu of termination. That doesn't sound like a little verbal, ooh, he was a bad driver. And it said insubordination and consistent inefficiency. And again, he resigned in lieu of termination. That seems like something that should have been disclosed. Look at this. Okay, so these are 24 different offenses, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can at least see like dereliction of duty, written reprimand. This is violation of, I don't know. This says excessive force, habitual tardiness, excessive force, habitual tardiness. I mean, unnecessary force. I don't know what all that says, but yeah, I mean, this is crazy to me. CJ, what job do you know where you can have like 24 offenses in like the first 3 years and still keep your job and get promoted?
I mean, it's extremely crazy. Like it's giving the Brian Koberger team over there in Idaho. What was it? What was their law enforcement over there? It's giving that level of incompetence too, because that guy was kind of, I forget what his name was. Do you remember the Brian Koberger guy?
Well, the DA, first of all, yeah, I had a lot of problems with him, but the thing,
The
thing
main
I'll give,
guy, I think he retired now. Bill. Oh yeah, the DA guy, yeah. But then also it was like all these newbie cops, which I don't know if we're getting into it after
yes,
Nanos, but yeah, all the whole Brian Enton thing where they're like, dude, it was like a
well,
first year homicide.
yeah, and remember when exactly, and so but at least okay, here's this what I'll have to give to the Idaho is that they hadn't had a homicide there in like 7 years, so it's not like you know, and with a pretty younger force, a lot of them really had no experience in homicide because that just didn't happen in Moscow, Idaho. But it happens in Arizona. So there's no excuse like here for and this is like the sheriff, and I guess that back then when he did come to Pima County, I guess it was harder to check the record. But look, these journalists were pulling it up, and I just I it's really it's hard because he was elected, and so that's what gets to this is where it gets really frustrating. Um, Here, let me share this so we can read the whole thing. But it said, just in, an independent firm working for Pima County has released its findings into a workplace harassment complaint against Sheriff Chris Nanos, brought by the former Pima County Sheriff Department Lieutenant Heather Lappin, whom he narrowly defeated in the 2024 election. The administrative investigation by North Star Employment and Legal Solutions cleared the sheriff of bullying allegations, but found the preponderance of evidence supports a finding that Sheriff Nanos used his authority and department resources for political gain. He is also accused of violating department rules on courtesy and civility for allegedly putting confidential information about Lappin in a press release during the campaign. However, while the review found the sheriff's actions inconsistent with the listed policies, it also found that he is not subject those policies because he is an elected official. A spokesperson for the sheriff's department said Nanos had been made aware of the investigation's results. The findings do not support allegations of bullying, but no additional concerns. She said in a statement the sheriff has requested a full report for review. Pima County Sheriff Department declined to comment further, citing a pending civil lawsuit. And so here's like this is the human resources. It just said what the final decision was, and this was like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, basically it just says, I mean, they did find bullying, they find ethics, you know, violation, code of conduct. And from what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, CJ, but didn't you hear that, like, I think this was on Brian Enton, where they said that he had suspended or something or put her on leave, the person he was running against, right?
Yeah, he had
During
put
the
her.
election.
Mm-hmm.
And so she couldn't comment or do anything. Like he basically, I think it would I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think, but it's crazy to me because it's like, yeah, okay. So it says, upon review of the administrative investigation report, the sheriff's actions were found to be inconsistent with the listed policies. However, the sheriff is not subject to these policies as an elected official. And it's like, well, if anything, they should be held to a higher standard because they're an elected official. I don't understand whether this disconnect is. Am
Yeah,
I crazy?
no, I mean, absolutely, I agree with you because it's like these are the people. Like again, it does affect like the citizens because now look, this is the person in charge of this
Yeah.
missing person and trying to get their mom home or her mom home, Savannah's mom.
And, you know, just think about it. Like, he knows that, like, he is in the spotlight, and this is how you know, that their case is going. So imagine if it was just like an everyday person like me or you who like needed help. If we lived there, like what would happen with us? Would we just get like, you know, I can't imagine how bad it is for the actual citizens there. I just wonder if any crime gets solved there. That's like a whole nother investigation for another day. But if any of you all
And then
know
some
any,
citizens are going rogue, and I'm like, I know this is tinfoil, allegedly, not in my opinion. This is just the chatter. That Nanos has something to do with like, I'm like, no, Nanos didn't do it for the spotlight. Like it's wrong right now because look at all the crap that's coming out about him. Like you really think that he'd do that? Like, but yeah, there's some tinfoil heads that are coming out of the woodworks,
that like
blaming Nanos.
that he purposely tanked the investigation or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. I think that he's an arrogant, and I think he really harmed the case, in my opinion, when they had the FBI resources available to them, and he still insisted like on using his own lab in Florida and whatever. It's like he should have at this point just given it to the FBI, let them take it over, and instead, I mean, I don't know what he was trying to do,
But that's
but
what I'm saying. It's giving Idaho 4 for me. And I saw
yeah.
Christina in the chat reminding me it's inmate 214. My bad. Uh,
Oh yeah, thanks,
But
Christina.
it's giving Idaho 4 for me. Like, remember how Idaho 4 was so tight with their stuff and wouldn't also let the FBI in, like, all right away and stuff? It's the same
Yes and
way.
yes and no, but then they did eventually. But yeah, they, you know, completely, I mean, contaminated the crime scene. They're extremely lucky that
Dude, they walked all over the snow where the
I know
footprints were and stuff, in and out. Nobody
it
was
was
like
bad.
guarding the door. Like, ugh.
It was
I
definitely
mean, they
bad.
got the guy, so on that one it doesn't matter. Like Idaho 4 doesn't really matter because they got the guy. But luckily it didn't go to trial or whatever, because I feel like there could have been holes poked in due to the investigative practices.
And you know what? At least with the Idaho 4, they got their messaging together because it was really bad in the beginning where they did kind of what Nanos did here, where they're like, it was a targeted attack. Oh, maybe it's not a targeted attack. And Nanos basically said the same thing. He's like, well, it could be targeted, but it could not, and you all could be next. Like he basically was just like, like you're on your own, everyone. It was kind of like it's just so wild to me. But again, but they got their messaging together with Idaho 4. Granted, they still had things wrong and contradictory. And do you remember when me and you did that like wrap up slide or wrap up stream on that case, and after all the documents came out and we saw like remember when the fridge for the evidence went out? All
Yeah.
those samples, and they were like, "Oh, nothing that's like of evidence or DNA." And we start looking through it and it was like mouth swabs, blood swabs. And we're like, "What do you mean no DNA?" Like,
Yeah, I totally forgot about the botched fridge that just went out, and they're like, "Well, it was only for 8 hours, and we
you
had
know,
another
only for 8
fridge."
hours.
Yeah, it was so crazy. But yeah, that's what this is giving. And I'm like, dang, it sucks that like for Savannah, like this is a team. It goes to show that like move to a city that has a good team. I mean, God forbid anything happen, but
No, and speaking about that, okay, so I used to kind of brag. Remember, I was like, I have like the most amazing like police chief in my town, and I know him. They caught like the porch pirate who stole something from me. Like he's
Mhm.
awesome. I just found out he's moving, and now I'm gonna be like, I'm so scared. I'm like, oh my God, Sheriff Nanos is gonna be forced to step down, and we have an opening, and then like I'm gonna end up with this moron in my town.
Oh
We're
my God.
losing like the best police chief ever. He was amazing. So.
Yeah.
Let's answer Pam real quick because she said FBI has
Mhm.
jurisdiction in kidnapping, though I thought if it crosses state lines, this we don't know that this crossed any state lines, and also because the case originated in Arizona, and we don't know what happened, and also because I think they think it's a homicide, right? So I think that the sheriff, like the local PD, has to release don't they have to like release the case to the FBI? I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah, I'm
Unless
pretty
it was,
sure
like,
that,
known that it's
or
crossing
like
that.
like they have to ask for help or something.
Yeah, they can ask for help, but he was still technically in charge. He didn't release control. Like, eventually, remember, in Idaho, they released the control, but,
Hmm.
but not to prosecute it, but usually, I think it's actually better when the local prosecutors prosecute because 'cause they're used to doing more, like, homicide and those kinds of cases first, but not in Idaho. Oh my god, whoever that guy was, he was terrible.
Bill
Uh,
Thompson, I couldn't catch his name, but that
yes,
was good
Bill
old Bill
Thompson.
Thompson. And he was
That
giving
case.
interviews too. Like whenever Nano started giving those first interviews, I just literally had Bill Thompson flashbacks.
This is
Because
one of my
remember
favorite.
he gave like two. He was like no interviews, and then he gave 2 interviews in his office. And then after that, they were just like they shut him up. They were like, do not give interviews. Oh, because remember he said that the house was targeted.
Yeah, no, he said it was targeted, but they
Hmm.
didn't that was actually wrong, and all the FBI profilers were basically like, "These are the markings of, like, a serial killer, like, he's
Hmm.
gonna strike again. He has a taste for blood," and to this day, still, they never caught the person who offed Buddy, the dog, that was, like, only, what,
Justice
10
for
days earlier?
Buddy.
Yeah, so justice for Buddy, that I'll never get over that. In fact, I probably should, um, get back on that, and I wonder if I could reach out to the family and see if there was any follow-up for that, but, this is really funny, actually. K Bella, this is one of my favorite little tiny little stories. So, like, how I have the badges next to people's names, and
Hmm.
Kay Bella was like, "Oh, I want the Afro Man one," because she had Ozzy next to her, and I was like, "Oh, well, Ozzy's pretty cool too," and I told the story, and now she's like she's an Ozzy fan, so I love you, Kay Bella, that is so awesome. Ozzy does off coyotes, Nanas kidnaps grannies. Hey, Kenny. Hi, Mildly Mercurial. I haven't seen you in so long, Mildly. Okay, so let's keep going to because there was one more for Nanos. Oh, you guys, this is nuts. Okay, hold on. I don't know if you guys saw this one, but sheriff under fire amid Nancy Guthrie case allegedly brought loaded firearm to airport
When I
checkpoint.
started my record label,
Oh, why
the
does this do
business
this?
side
Hold
of
on.
things,
Can you guys hear me? Did the noise
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Okay. So it says resident Corey Stevens told the County Board of Supervisors a private citizen would have faced greater consequences. So this was an article from April 4th, you guys. And it says embattled Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos had been called out by a local resident over an incident at a local airport where TSA agents allegedly stopped him at the security checkpoint with a loaded, undeclared firearm in his carry-on bag. And the hits keep coming with a recent independent investigation into bullying and retaliation allegations against the sheriff, finding that the preponderance of evidence shows he abused his office for political gain during a close race in 2024 against former Pima County Sheriff Department Lieutenant Heather Lappin. Amid that contentious race, a woman named Corey Stevens complained to the County Board of Supervisors at a public meeting on November 12, 2024, that the sheriff did not face the same consequences a regular citizen would have. If a private citizen had encountered that at the airport, the consequences would have been greater. Stevens, a longtime Tucson resident and president of the Conservative Coalition of America, told Fox News Digital on Friday. This says Nana's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the incident, which did not result in any charges. Stevens said she found the incident alarming after hearing about it in local circles and was disappointed it received little attention in the media. So she brought it up during public comment at a Board of Supervisors hearing. That is very smart. Whoever the Steven person is knows what she's doing. If you see something in your community you don't like, you should talk and do public comment. I always support that. I think that's good. Nanos is facing heightened scrutiny amid the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie. While the complicated case remains unsolved, the sheriff critics have seized on other issues, including lawsuit against him from his own current and former deputies, and an allegation that he had lied about past disciplinary problems under oath. We as citizens want answers, Stevens said. The safety of our community is at stake. An incident report obtained by Fox News Digital from November 6, 2024, shows a TSA X-ray technician saw the weapon in the sheriff's bag and flagged an officer. As a law enforcement officer, he should know the TSA rules, how to declare a weapon, secure it, and follow the same rules as everyone else, Stevens said. Airport police found 5 rounds in the magazine and another in the chamber. The sheriff missed his flight, stowed the firearm in his vehicle, and flew out later. James Gagliano, a retired FBI agent and Fox News contributor, said he found the whole incident surprising because, as a law enforcement officer, the sheriff could have taken measures to fly with it legally. You declare yourself as law enforcement officer ahead of time, he said. The protocol requires confirmation between the TSA and the individual's agency, but typically allows active duty personnel to fly with their weapons, he said. After the X-ray technician found the weapon in Lane 1 at the Tucson International Airport's B concourse, the first responding officer recused himself due to an apparent conflict of interest, according to the incident report. The second officer brought Nanos to a private screening room where he asked the sheriff where in his bag the gun was located, according to the incident report. Nanos told him it was in a zippered pocket where the officer removed it and found 5 rounds in the magazine and another in the chamber, according to the incident report. Oh my God, I can download this. I'm saving this. I always like receipts. They're great. And this, let's see. Incident, when was, yeah. It said, I responded to Concourse B for, I can't highlight it, for a report of a passenger with a firearm in their carry-on bag that was located in Lane 1. Okay. I collected the backpack and the passenger and moved them to a private screening room. I asked where in the bag. Okay, so basically everything the article said. I read Mr. Nanos' Miranda rights from my department handbook. When asked if he had packed his own bag, he said yes. When asked if it was his firearm in the backpack, he said yes. I called my chain of command as well as Department of Homeland Security agent and federal or FBI agent and advised them of the situation. Mr. Nanos was escorted off the concourse and placed his firearm in his vehicle, and he was rebooked to fly out at a later time.
Did he just forget it, or what did he say? It doesn't say anything right there. It doesn't say that he made an excuse or anything.
I know.
Wait, go down. Maybe the article finishes
Okay,
with
okay.
what his excuse was.
I know, that is really funny. They should have been like, what the F were you thinking, idiot? The firearm was in a hard plastic holster, the officer wrote. The firearm was not artfully or purposely concealed. The sheriff, of course, had no active warrants but the officer read him his Miranda rights and informed his superiors, as well as the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI. This is him at the basketball game, that picture. Mr. Nanos was escorted off the concourse and to place his firearm in his vehicle, and he was rebooked to fly out at a later time. That appears to have been the end of the incident, but it's one of many allegations against the sheriff to resurface during the stalled search for Nancy Guthrie. Lieutenant Lappin's retaliation complaint led to an independent investigation by North Star Employment and Legal Solutions, which cleared the sheriff of bullying allegations, but found that the preponderance of evidence supports a finding that Sheriff Nanos used his authority and department resources for political gain. We read that one. Okay, so he is also accused of violating department rules on courtesy and civility for allegedly putting confidential information about Lappin in a press release during the campaign. However, while the review found the sheriff's actions inconsistent with the listed policies, it also found he is not subject to those policies because he is an elected official. A spokesperson for the sheriff's department said Nanos has been made aware of the investigation results. The findings do not support allegations of bullying, but no additional concerns. She said in a statement, the sheriff has requested the full report for review. Pima County Sheriff's Department declined to comment further, citing a pending civil lawsuit, and Lappin did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Last year, the Pima Board of Supervisors referred Nanos to the state attorney general for investigation into whether he behaved inappropriately during the campaign. Lappin was suspended over what county officials said appeared to be unsubstantiated allegations and prevented from actively campaigning. The sheriff is also facing a First Amendment lawsuit from another deputy who alleged he was retaliated against for supporting Lappin ahead of the vote. Like at some point, when are elected officials held accountable? Like this is nuts. Okay, the Pima County Board of Supervisors, which has a 4-1 Democratic majority, also moved unanimously last week to have outside counsel draft proposed questions for Nanos and plans to bring him in front of the panel to answer questions about his workplace history and other concerns. The sheriff, who declined to comment on the board's decision, was not accused of wrongdoing in connection with Guthrie's investigation during the meeting. Well, he's just accused of a bunch of other things. We have information that we need as an electorate to know who we're voting into office. Steffens told Fox News Digital, we need all the information that we could possibly have to put the right people into office. Steffens, who unsuccessfully ran for a seat on the board as a Republican in 2024, has called on Nanos to step down following allegations that he had lied under oath in connection with a lawsuit from another deputy, as well as on his application to join the department back in the mid-'80s. He was not properly vetted, she said. The search for Guthrie has remained unsolved more than 2 months after she is believed to have been taken from her Tucson home in the dead of night. That's like a kind of like, not, you don't, why do they have to say in the dead of night? For no suspects have been publicly identified. A masked intruder wearing long sleeves and rubber gloves appeared on Nest doorbell camera video at her front door around the time of her suspected abduction. Although the video has been widely circulated, it has not led to his identification. And a DNA taken from inside the home containing genetic material from an unknown male has not yet been unraveled. The family is asking anyone with information to dial 1-800-CALL-FBI. There is a combined reward of more than $1.2 million for information that leads to the arrest or Guthrie's recovery, which is why, again, a half Bitcoin is less than 1.2 million. So whoever like allegedly wrote those TMZ ransom notes should just call this number and get their money.
That's what I was saying. 'Cause
But
I feel like half of Bitcoin is not as much as $1 million, right? Isn't it like a $1 million reward? Or no, am I
oh my
tripping?
God, wait, Kenny's gonna make me laugh. Bananos pancake.
Bananos pancake.
Oh my God, too good. You guys are so
Got a
creative.
gun in the suitcase. Bananas pancake.
How, I mean, and that's the other, like, that's crazy to me. It's loaded.
Oh wait, it was a backpack. It was in a suitcase, but suitcase
Oh,
and
backpack. Okay,
cake.
still, but it's loaded, and you're like, let me just toss this in here. And the fact that it was in like a hard case, like or a hard holster, it's just like that's the kind, like when you the hard one, it's the kind that you wear.
Well,
You
if it
know,
was a backpack with like a bunch of pockets, maybe he might have forgotten because maybe he just had the
it's
main
just like, but
pocket.
he's the freaking sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. That is crazy. You're at an airport, so it's like I just think he's like doesn't like what is it called? He's like doesn't have all his marbles or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's something not right with this person, perhaps like substance or just arrogance or like I don't know, but I feel like there's enough smoke, right? There's enough smoke where they like
Yeah.
something has to happen. Yeah, he's an incompetent menace. Pretty much. I mean, I don't know. I'm sometimes like the silver lining of some of these cases is that these things get exposed. Remember we were just talking about this with what's the case with the Mormon that we're talking about
Um,
today?
Shayna
The
Gardner Fernandez. Oh, Taylor Frankie Paul.
yeah, that one. The one with
There's
the
too many
bachelorette.
Mormons out in the criminal court. I was like, which one? Yeah, Taylor Frankie Paul.
Okay, yeah, that one, Taylor Frankie Paul. So I don't know if any of you guys saw that as The Bachelorette and watched the body camera, but in it, they give a very detailed explanation, like how they have to respond to a domestic violence incident, and that is because of what happened in the Gabby Petito case, which is heartbreaking. And obviously, we would rather have Gabby here and not have had any of that happen. But it's I think part of her legacy is just seeing now like how this random like incident in Utah was handled as domestic violence. They explain it doesn't matter if you don't want to press charges. And they're like, when this happens, we have to separate them. I mean, it was and put when, uh and especially her, because I think like they had it on camera where she was throwing things and her daughter almost got hit. So yeah, crazy stuff. What did Jane say? She says, does anyone know how tall Bananos is because he looks short? I think that's the least of his problems, but yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, so that is, I think, hopefully all we have on Nanos because
Yeah, I'm over Bananos. What
you're
else
over
we
him.
got?
Well, at
Oh, we have one more?
there's only one more, but it's not Nanos. Is that the FBI billboards? So I've now it's been oopsies. This always happens. So we're gonna quickly do a flashback. This is like a 30-second clip from our stream when we were talking about the billboards and how we think that they should have the kidnapper's face on them and instead of Nancy's. Is that the FBI billboards? So it's been confirmed. They're in Southern California, and we even had people in our very own chat, like Miss Trish told us that she's actually seen these signs out all the way out in Texas. So we've had them. They've been spotted all over the place, but I'm saying, what are they missing? What do you guys think these signs are missing? Well, I'll tell you what I think they're missing. I think that they are missing a photo of the suspect because at this point, I just think we're trying to find someone who recognizes this suspect to get closer to figuring out what happened. Yes, and the reward money. Good point, Christina. And we're trying to figure out who the suspect is. I think we've seen this face of Nancy a lot. And in my opinion, I don't feel like they're looking for Nancy anymore at this point. I feel like they're trying to figure out who the suspect is. So I don't know how it works with billboards, like, or if how easy they are to change. But I just think if they put that much money into the billboards, that they should do it with something that maybe is like a little more, helpful. Like put photos of that suspect. I think we need to find out who someone knows who this person is. And so I kind of fixed it for them. I added. So, I mean, sorry, that was like almost 50. When I listened to it, I guess it was on 2 speed. It was 30 seconds. But so remember when we talked about this, you guys? So, Jennifer Coffindiffer, I think is how you say her name.
Mhm.
I guess she kind of is like doing some sort of campaign, and she's reached out to the company that does these billboards, and they were willing to work with her to put up ones that have the suspect's face. And the FBI, I guess, wasn't going to fund it, but Clear Channel, I don't think, is actually charging her. So she is going to, I think that they're working with her for free to put up some more billboards with his face. But like she kind of got like ripped apart online because she did say that like if they weren't going to do it for free, that she would like do a GoFundMe or something. And then like everyone was going at her. They're like, why would Savannah, like a millionaire, why would we do a GoFundMe or the FBI that has the money? Why can't they just do it themselves? The whole thing was stupid that she thought of doing the GoFundMe, in my opinion. But I do applaud her for reaching out to get signs that will have his face. So when those come up, like I'm definitely going to post it because I think that would be. I think that's what they should have done from the beginning. I don't know. What do you think, CJ?
Yeah. I think they probably should have as well put the face out. And like I said, in Sonora, in the Web Sleuth community, people are starting to put the face flyers out there and
Yeah.
putting it in gas stations on the way.
And
So
we just
yeah, it's just
shout out to the web sleuth community for doing that. I just think that, like, for some reason, there's this always some kind of weird connotation with sleuths. I'm not entirely sure why, but I just think, like, they're out. Whoever thought to do that, I think that was a good idea. I wish that would have been done earlier, because I don't think everyone, if you weren't on X, you might not have actually seen his photo, like, because I don't know. I don't think everyone saw who the
wait.
suspect
I'm
was.
gonna address Lori. She said, "See, journalist sounds tired. I'm tired of Nanos in this case. I'm like Nancy be tiring me out. She be tiring me out. Sorry,
Um,
I was. It was so much Bananos.
Sorry about that. Well, but I think it was kind of important, because that I didn't want to just update on, like, random things that weren't really relevant, but I think at this point it was almost like you can't ignore that much pile of
Yeah,
garbage. Like,
nah,
so
you
we
got
just
to
had to
stay on
address
his
it all
neck.
at once.
We were joking that that DFJ only had 2 feet, so I was like, of course, like somebody had to you had to stay on Ryan and Blake's neck, so we weren't on Bananos's neck, but it was his turn.
Yes, and thank you, CJ. That's really funny, because I was like, oh, yeah. She's like, you can only keep your foot on yeah, on Blake's neck, Blake and Ryan's neck, for so long. You can't, like, squash, like, everyone. But with this one, I'm kind of glad we presented it the way that we did, though, only because, like, if you just looked at, like, okay, here's a little incident here, here's a little incident here, like, we just saw. I mean, this was within 2 weeks. It was like, bam. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see it all at once. And I'm sorry it was tiring, but it just, once you look at it,
No, no, no. I wasn't like saying because of the show. I'm just like I was probably low energy because I was just like fucking Nanos, freaking
yeah.
Nanos, like.
Well, we're gonna pick it up next, because I think this is your case. Yeah, CJ has been super sleuthing lately, and, like, when you sleuth, I feel like you just, like, need to find an answer. So, like, that sometimes means that you don't sleep, and so, but, like, yeah, you've been doing so good lately with your coverage, especially going back and putting together timelines for the Lively case. Now that, like, that's been, a lot of
Yeah,
her
just
charges have
because
been
it's
dismissed.
like a whole new, like now
Yeah,
that it's only retaliation, it's like a whole new set of facts almost. I mean, it's the same facts, but they're just put together differently. Because before, the sleuths were trying to prove like, well, look how she's touching homeboy Henry Golden, and look how she's all flirty, and look at the yummy text. So it was really focused on the SH, and now it's more focused on what's the retaliation timeline, which is
yeah,
really difficult because the judge has like three different, like it's like May and then like the protected activity. I think in the end I figured out that the protected activity was the January 4th meeting.
I think,
And she
didn't Nat put out a
complained
video
then.
today, like, re-clarifying that?
Who, me?
No, Nag.
Oh, I don't know if Nag, I haven't seen Nag's
She
latest
did
stuff.
something about the protective activity, but I'll just, I'm gonna trust whatever you say, because I didn't follow that closely. But this is a good point, Trish. They're electronic billboards here. They should be easy to change. But so apparently the FBI doesn't want to. That was the whole thing. That's why the retired FBI agent, Jennifer Coffindeffer, that's why she wanted to do it, like, on her own. But it's just, that's, again, there's something so incompetent with this case and so strange. And it's like a very famous person, and, like, who has the president said, here, all the FBI resources, go solve this case, and we're still here. And it's just, I don't know. It just seems like they could be doing more, in my opinion. I know they're going to try to rely on the DNA, but that's really hard to do when you let, like, this Bananos, this Bananos, like, menace, send everything to this other lab that doesn't have the same capabilities as the FBI lab. So what are you going to do? Kenny says, doesn't matter what Blake tries to run with. There is so much evidence to run and grab of her being a hypocrite. Yep, that PGA letter, in my opinion. Okay, so enough Nanos. We're Nanosed out, as Khaleesi said. So, yeah, but just the kidnapper is still out there, and so hopefully someone will speak up. Girl, David, do you want to read his
David. Yeah, let's
here,
get into David.
you read this, because
Are you gonna pull up the full statement or
oh, sorry, I wasn't sharing.
that's
Can you
okay.
see it?
Yeah. Okay, so David, this is my jam because we're like, okay, remember when I told y'all I wasn't coming back until
Yeah.
David was arrested, and then there was a
Yeah.
point where I was like, until Nancy's found, and then I'm like, until Blake's case is dismissed. Kind of came back, so I'm hoping that something happens with the David case. But this was SF investigates, and there was a little bit of movement here with all this. He says yesterday marked 7 months since David's Tesla was towed with Celeste Rivas Hernandez's dismembered body in the front trunk. 7 months, and we still have nothing but sealed medical examiner records. A sworn affidavit used to justify its sealing those records claimed that the LAPD only wanted to ensure that they received the report before the public. Yet the report, which should be public, remains sealed. And I love the citizens who are fighting for transparency, real quick. I'm going to stop there because, yeah, that's crazy. I believe it remains sealed because its contents would spark public outrage and a demand for answers. Answers that law enforcement and prosecutors have failed to provide. They have not even held a basic press conference, something routinely done in high profile cases. Because that's the one thing that I thought right away, even when they didn't know was Celeste and they found something in the trunk. Normally they'll do a press conference so that people can be like, oh, there was a body found, and then you get
Yeah.
tips in. And there was never nothing like that. It was like, I think TMZ or something with a little helicopter shot, and that was it. Like, as far
And it
as
was
news, we didn't get
and
an
it wasn't
official
just a body. It was a body in cadaver bags, which we didn't find out until this other what happened in Texas, which we'll get to. But like, what? Like that
December. Oh, go ahead.
I just feel like so it's like it was like seems more premeditated than like, ooh, maybe an accident happened. Like they ordered cadaver bags. The
A
body was found.
dismembered, yeah, a dismembered 14-year-old does not appear to warrant informing the public, even though a murder or multiple predators may still be free among us. As far as I'm concerned, this has been a complete failure. I also cannot understand why the family has remained silent. And this is what me and DFJ were talking about before the
Yep.
stream. Are they concerned about what they knew? Are they being intimidated? Or is it justice or is justice for Celeste slowly fading away? And it could be that law enforcement is telling them not to talk either, but who knows? Yes, cases can take time, especially when there's no clear starting point, but that is not the situation here. Criminal grand juries also do not investigate indefinitely. In Los Angeles County, criminal grand juries are typically impaneled for 30 days. When a new grand jury is seated, they are provided prior materials, but they do not hear the testimony themselves. In many ways, the process starts over. And since David's parents appealed, the previous grand jury's term has now expired. Here we go again. No indictment, no press release, no press conference, no answers, no justice. Hashtag Celeste Rivas Hernandez, hashtag fail. But the new little tidbit that we learned was this whole appeal from the parents because I didn't know. I was like, okay, well, let's look up what the whole appeal with the parents. So basically, the grand jury convened and called his parents and his brother to come and testify. Well, because they're in the state of Texas, they fought it because they're like, we're not going to California to testify on something that we don't know what we're testifying about because the affidavit that they were served was redacted. But eventually they I think they got an unredacted copy because that's how we found out that David was a suspect. You guys remember that? I don't know if we covered it before I left that David became a suspect based on those documents. But anyway, so they were like, we don't want to go testify. Well, the Texas courts were like, well, we're dismissing this. You do have to go testify. And the moment that they dismissed it, they took that ruling and now are appealing it to the Court of Criminal Appeals in Texas. And so that's holding up this grand jury because it's already been probably more than the 30 days. It seems like that's what SF Investigate is saying, is that it's been more than 30 days. So a new grand jury will have to reconvene who doesn't get to hear the testimony firsthand, but just gets the materials of what the testimony was. So he's like, now we're pretty much going to start all over because we're waiting on this appeal to see if they're going to go testify or whatever. So it seems like his parents and his brother are holding up the investigation at this point, or at least the grand
This
jury
this
like
isn't the right
indictments.
yeah, this isn't the I want to see because it says that the district court shall respond to this order with 10 days. Um I want to but and then so they responded that they do have to go, right? So that was this one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then but this doesn't really say anything.
I think it was just the court, the little court docket, and nothing has come out like since then. They just filed their thing, and now we're just waiting on the Court of Appeals to do what they like to say what they're gonna say, like whether or not they have to go or not.
Yeah. Well,
But that's his dad's name, Daywood, instead of David. Like, I wonder if that was how his name was spelled too, the kid's name, David, because it's
uh,
like so weirdly spelled too, like with a number and then.
yeah, that is weird. But that's not his real legal name.
This is the dad's name, Daywood Burke. I'm pretty sure. But
I
yeah,
under
I think it's so crazy that his parents are not testifying. And like, I don't know about like, we have the Petito parents, the laundries. I don't know. This is giving laundries, y'all. Tell
yeah,
me in
I
the chat
agree.
if this is giving laundries or not, because like, what do you mean you're the parent of this kid who's supposedly, well, not allegedly, the body was found in his car. And you don't want to go testify? Like it screams guilt to me, in my opinion, allegedly.
Yeah, like, if wouldn't you want to help get the answers? Like, help find who did this? Because at some point they were friends. This is so funny. Pam says, "Where does the general public get cadaver bags?" We looked it up. Apparently, you can just buy them. And then it was so funny. I think it was Tiffany who was like, how do you buy cadaver bags and not end up on a list somewhere?" Like, it is very strange. Why the hell would we randomly need to be buying cadaver bags? Human cadaver bags. Who what? I agree. I think that is crazy. And I think that should be a red flag. And I doubt that he paid for those with cash, because, like, what do you do? Just, like, walk into, like, a morgue and be like, "Yo, can I have some cadaver bags for, like, this totally non-crime I'm, like, gonna do?" I just the whole thing is strange to me. I don't think it was, I don't know. I
And
think
I
that
mean, I get it though, because you only get one bite at the apple. Like, you have to have a legit case. Um, oh my gosh, Christina, I know I'm on a list somewhere for what I Googled during CJ and DFJ's lives. You talk about cadaver bags. Um,
Girl, me too, me too.
But the thing that I'm saying is, like, I know they only have one shot, one bite at the apple, whatever, and so they're trying to cross their T's, dot their I's, whatever. But it just seems like at the very least, and this is what I hate about like missing persons cases and true crime cases, is like it's not that we're nosy as citizens, but especially when there's not like legit information as to whether. I mean, obviously we know that the Occam's razor is going to be that it's David, right? Or the Occam's razor and the Nancy Guthrie is, maybe somebody known to her and it wasn't like, everyone else is in danger. But look at Brian Koberger, like he was just a rando that was out there. So I think that like
Yeah,
the public deserves like a press
Rand
conference just so that, and also to quiet down the sleuths, because being part of the sleuth community, I see some tinfoil stuff when there's no communication from law
mhm,
enforcement. It's the wild wild west out there, and that's what happened with the Nancy Guthrie case.
yep.
Um, I've seen cases. What was the one missing kid? Michael, I think it was Michael Vaughn, yeah, where they had a dedicated Facebook and every day they'd be like, this is the resources. And then the Kylie, what was her name? The girl that fell in the lake over there in
Oh,
California,
yeah,
the
yeah.
teenager.
Kylie Rodney?
Yeah, Kylie Rodney and stuff. They were updating every day. They were like, it was this amount of helicopters, it was this amount of ground equipment that we used, all that stuff. And even in the laundry case, the Gabby Petito case, in the beginning they weren't doing as many updates, and everybody was going rogue, like, oh, we saw Brian Laundry in the backyard. Remember the garden conspiracy that they
No.
saw his hand come up in the garden? No, but then they started to do like daily updates to the public.
Mhm.
It's like we're not just nosy, but it just calms the nerves
Well,
and just.
yeah, because this is a little bit, I mean, it doesn't typically come out of nowhere. Like, and we saw that, like, with the Brian or inmate 214. I mean, now when we look back, there was discipline issues, like, where he was the TA, and there was, like, other things, red flags that should have been more dealt with back then. So this was leading up to something that perhaps could have been stopped earlier, maybe not, but, like, it was a close call there. Like, it was one thumbprint basically away from on the sheath that he just happened to forget, that they were able
Mhm.
to catch him. And thank goodness, like, some people in his family did the 23andMe or whatever the heck it's called, because that helped figure out who he was. Um, you
And all
know?
of my friends with David are like the one thing that my friends constantly tell me is like, if that had been me and somebody found like a body in my car, like they would have, brought me in for questioning. And we don't know, of course. They might have brought him in for questioning, or maybe he just didn't go, or he wasn't in town. And like if you're not in the jurisdiction, they can't just pick you up to question you if they don't have evidence of a crime, like
Mhm.
to bring you in. But I do think it's really weird because it was his car, it was his vehicle. Like, wouldn't you think that they would go to where he's at, interview him? I mean, they might have. We might later see all that paperwork.
And this is true, Galth. About her being underage. CJ was on that from the very beginning because I remember, what was it, like her teacher even knew that she was
Yeah.
dating him and when she was underage, and like so that's a whole nother like issue for the crime. And does it I think that it makes the crime even more um and I'm severe, or it adds a level to the crime, or it adds an additional charge when it is a minor, because it's like a protected class. The whole thing is very, I don't know, it's just very strange. And again, yeah, they moved the car. It was registered to him. It was in front of the home. Was he renting that home? He got a new one and started driving that one instead. It's a lot of suspicious things that I just feel like if any of us, they found what's the right word? What did she was cut up. What's the right word? Christina said it earlier. Um, Dismembered. If any of us, if the police found a dismembered minor in our cars, I just feel like we would all be arrested immediately. I don't understand what's happening with this case. Like, did someone really drop the ball? And with a Tesla that records things, has electronic, um, a database that clocks everything. Every time the doors open, what key it was. Like, I don't know. There's so many things here that to me, I feel like this should have been, I don't know. There should be an arrest. Why is this taking so long, CJ?
I don't know. Is it my audio? Can you guys hear me on audio?
No,
I
your
couldn't hear
audio's
that last
tapped out.
part.
Can't
Yeah,
hear
hang
you.
on. I might have to log back out and log back in.
Okay, come out and come in.
Okay, sorry
We'll go
about
to the
that.
next one. Come out and come in. We got you. We'll be here. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, CJ's underwater. She's gonna think so. Every time she reports on like a case like this, she's gonna think that like it's other people. Okay, here she is. All right, try again. Let's hear ya. CJ?
Yeah, it keeps saying we recommend you use Wi-Fi. I'm on Wi-Fi. Okay, I
It
don't know. Can
probably
you hear me now?
a little bit, probably because you're on your phone still.
Okay, is it still fucked up? I mean, messed up?
No, it's better. Christina says there are way
Okay.
more people involved than just David. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Lori said
His friend Neo did get to testify to the grand jury.
yes.
So, and he basically said he had nothing to do with it. And it was really strange that people pointed out that um his manager was interviewed for like over 2 hours or 3 hours or something like that. It was like a really long time. But yet Neo was only interviewed for like a couple minutes or like not as long, like less than an hour. So people were like, well, maybe he didn't know as much as like
Mhm.
we thought, or he wasn't a part of it. But a lot of people thought he pled the fifth, and somebody came out and said that he didn't.
Hey, so do you know if David has any weird prior history?
He didn't. He was just like a homeschool kid, so there wasn't like much as far as like his interaction with uh teachers and stuff. The only interaction that has come out from a third party on him was his like Ninja Warrior. He was like in Ninja Warrior classes, like,
Oh, that's not weird.
American Ninja Warrior. It's like a gym where you do like, rings and
Wait,
climb up walls and stuff.
wait, CJ. I was on the stream with you when you started showing me some of the lives he was doing, where I thought it was a little bit off the rails. Didn't he say something like I would throw a
Oh, I thought you meant like past history of like, well, I guess, but that was all performative due to his. I mean, look at that. Look at the blood. What do you mean past
performative?
history? As his character, right? As his like avatar or like a musician role or whatever.
It
But
was
I
a
thought you
little
meant
bit
like past
psycho.
history of like, like childhood, like with BK who was like weird and saw snow and all that. Like the only person I've seen from his childhood that came out was the American Ninja Warrior teacher who was like he was such a good kid and like all this stuff. The other stuff is just since he became a musician, there's a lot of theories that like, the fame and all that like got to him and he went into some dark crap.
So this
But
is
as
right.
far
Christina says David was on tour when she was found. So like maybe because right before you cut out, what I was saying was like if police had found a dismembered minor in our vehicle, and we were driving another vehicle of the same kind, I feel like any of us would be arrested. Like Lori said, we wouldn't just be in jail; we'd be under the jail. And maybe because he was on tour, somehow that complicated it. Because yeah, it was someone else moving the car. Somehow didn't smell this body or something. I mean,
and they can't compel you to come in for questioning if you're out of the jurisdiction too.
so
Like
that's
they
what it
can't
is.
like they can't what do you call it, like extradite you. Like if he just never went back to LA, they can't like
They
pick him
can
up,
if
I
there's
don't think.
charges, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They'd have to indict him. So they need like a formal indictment in order to bring
Yeah.
him in.
I mean, this is crazy to me.
That's
Uh,
why it's weird when like Barry Morphew like cooperated, or like you see these people, because there's some husbands that'll just not cooperate. Like they'll be like, nope. Like in the Maya Maletti case, he just right off the top when she went missing was like, I'm not cooperating, and they can't make you come in for questioning or, all that stuff unless
and
they have something on you.
and be kind said, I agree with you. There should be an arrest by now. And this is part of the thing that really bothered me with the coverage of this case, because the mainstream media was saying like, oh, there was like an arrest in the case, but that was because that he didn't um come to the grand jury hearing. That was that guy who made the statement that you said. So his friend, like, because he wasn't, what is the right word, but he was subpoenaed and he didn't come. That's why he was arrested. He wasn't arrested for like something actually related to this case. He was arrested for not showing up when he was called to the grand jury.
And in his
So,
Instagram, he said that that was like filed wrong, and there was never any like that warrant wasn't filed correctly or something. He said like that was BS about what was in the media of how he didn't want to show up. So who knows? He might have just said that just to like not be held accountable. But
but
that's what he said in his Instagram stories. He was
and
like,
as Christina, she is validating what you said. He did not have a criminal history. So that's good. Kay Bella says, I think David the pedo was on tour when her body was found, but the car had been moved several months prior when he was around. I have questions. This is so sweet. Look at Kinney. She says, this is a testament to how much I love you guys because I am not a true crime person. LOL. But now I know about these things. So now I need to know how they move forward. But it's because I like to be here.
oh, thank you, Kenny.
That's so sweet. She started watching the interview room too and was like, I'm listening to these old guys talk about true crime. This is like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but Kenny, like, these are my last of the dying breed of the true crime cases. Well, there's like two more that are going to trial in August that are just kind of like the last loose ends of the true crime. But, um, yeah, true crime is really, really heavy stuff. It's a lot. It could be a lot. So I don't blame you for not being into it. But these are interesting cases, and especially this one that's connected to the music industry.
yeah.
I'm sat for this one.
And I think it's also, for me personally, one of the reasons it's interesting to me is because like I feel like you want to know your enemy kind of, and I like to know, like figure out how we can recognize like these evil things, why they happen, and then how to like protect our loved ones and and protect the community from them happening or recognizing them. And I don't know. They're just, and it is nice too when we see justice, in the end. I think that's rewarding. I like seeing the bad guys go away. And Pam says, how could they not smell the body? I had that. That is my same question. That is like a very recognizable stench. And in fact, in the tow yard, they smelt it and they saw like the bugs and the flies and whatever. And that's how they ended up, even in the cadaver bags that still happened. So yeah, Christina says exactly who was moving the car because they had to know. Right? Or did they
SF
not know?
Investigate said that they had like a bunch of like pine fresheners in
Yeah,
the
but like
places.
I said, pine fresheners aren't gonna hide that
Maybe they
smell.
were trying to use that to like drive around in it.
Yeah. So, oh, and Lori says, I love Dr. Gary and Bob on Interview Room. Dr. Gary Bricado is the best. I absolutely love him. So, okay, we are going to, oh, and this is, Kenny says, the saving grace is I like horror psych thrillers. So I just pretend this is a movie sort of. Yeah. And also, it is nice when we get answers. I think even that as tragic as the Nancy Guthrie case is, and again, I wish it never happened, the one silver lining is I think everyone in our chat is like, we're making sure our cameras are working, our parents' cameras are working. I think Vague, I don't know if she's here. She told me that she even logs in to make sure her mom's cameras are working. So at the very least, I feel like hopefully everyone is stepping up to protect their own and learn from this and make sure they got the freaking subscription. How did she not have the subscription? It drives me nuts. Yeah. Yeah, Michelle says, "That's why I love true crime. I learned so much." Me too. Me too. So then, okay, what are we on next? Oh, we did the case documents. Okay. So here's something more light, but we had to circle back to this.
The
Remember
IT
this
judge.
the IT judge. You guys, it gets worse. It gets worse. So if you don't remember, a quick recap, this guy went viral for yelling at an IT guy in the courthouse who was helping him fix his audio problem. Then yours truly found his bankruptcy filings. He filed for bankruptcy only last year. And then also we found all emails that he sent to his clerks that were off the rails, unhinged, that led to someone filing a complaint against him to the Judicial Oversight Committee. So it gets worse, right? It actually somehow gets worse. Let's look at this article. He was sued, but the quotes in here, you guys, are so good. So it says only on two record, and this makes me so annoyed because this post from this channel has no views, and it should have. I reposted it, and mine got no views. But hopefully, someone with a platform will repost it because I think Karma's doing her thing, and the algorithm's trying to mess with her. So, records show viral Harris County judge was sued by own client in 2021 for malpractice. So, do you want to read this, CJ?
Yeah, I can read that one if you want me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make it bigger. Okay.
Can you see it?
Don't joke around. I'm serious about this.
Oh, hold on.
Is the video playing?
I'm just saying I can't see it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, where'd you leave off?
Just the
manhandling?
beginning.
Okay. KPRC2 obtained court documents which reveal that a Harris County judge, now going viral for his courtroom behavior, was once sued by his own client, accused of mishandling a case that later grew into a class action. The documents detail Judge NATHAN J time as a defense attorney representing mortgage company Gregory Funding in a lawsuit that ultimately expanded to potentially impact other borrowers nationwide. The case began in 2017 when a Houston man sued Gregory Funding, accusing the company of violating federal consumer protection laws tied to debt collection practices. At the time, the case was relatively narrow, but that changed when attorneys, including Houston-based attorney Benjamin Governick, became involved and amended the lawsuit. "We were looking at the mortgage statements that they were sending out," Governick said, "and we were like, oh, hey, these violate the FDCPA. There's probably something we can do here." FDCPA stands for Federal Debt Collection Practices Act, which protects consumers from abusive debt collection. The case was later certified as a class action in 2020, allowing it to move forward on behalf of a broader group of borrowers. Attorney, he didn't know what he was doing. Governick, who was on the opposing side of the case, said problems with the defense became clear early on. "It was pretty apparent he didn't know what he was doing," Governick said. He described what he called basic mistakes in handling a complex class action case. They filed a one-page opposition," Governick said. According to Governick, Milron's lack of experience in class action litigation became evident as the case progressed. "It's a very specialized area and the risk to the client skyrockets," said Governick. "It was pretty apparent I can't read that because it's on the okay. It was pretty apparent he didn't know what he was doing." Governick said one of the biggest issues was lack of communication. "He'd just ignore us and then ignore us and ignore us," Governick said, referring to a required list of class members needed to move the case forward. According to court records, the failure to comply with court order requirements led to sanctions, but what Governick and other attorneys didn't know at the time was what was happening behind the scene. Milron was not just telling them what was going on in this case, he said, or not telling them. They did not know it had been amended to be a class action. They did not know what class had been certified. Client later sues his own attorneys. In 2021, Gregory Funding sued Milleron and his former law firm, Hugh Waters Arkansas LLP, accusing them of legal malpractice. The lawsuit alleges Milleron misled the company about the status of the case, telling them the claims were not being actively pursued, when in reality the case was already evolved into a class action. The company also claimed it did not learn about the class action status until more than a year later. "Then just blindsided us when we found this out," Governick said. The lawsuit further alleges the handling of the case resulted in approximately $20,000 in sanctions and more than $300,000 in legal fees after the company hired new attorneys. The case was settled in 2022 for the undisclosed amount, but Milron no longer worked at HWA following the case, although it's unclear at this time if he was terminated. Shortly after, he just opened his own firm and then started running for office.
And when they say his own firm, we pulled this up last stream. It's just him. It says meet our attorneys, and it's him.
One of the worst performances I've ever seen. Governor described the defense of the case as deeply flawed. I don't think I've ever seen anything this inept, he said. Put it like this: I would not hire Nathan Milleron to mow my lawn. Dang. You were right. You're like these quotes. Governor said when he filed a 150-page motion to turn the case into a class action lawsuit, he filed a one-page response 2 hours before the certification hearing took place. The
Jeez.
guy just did not have any idea how class actions work or how the rules work or what the court's supposed to be doing or how to defend a case like that. It's like driving a car and not knowing which pedal is the gas. He said the issues were beyond simple mistakes.
Hold on, let me get this. Okay.
Everyone
Sorry.
makes mistakes, Governor said, but this was stacking huge mistakes on top of each other. He added the consequences for the client were significant. I don't know how much money Gregory funding lost, but it had to be a lot, probably 7 figures, Governor said. Despite the lawsuit, Milleron later ran for office. First in 2020, Milleron ran for a seat in the 18th Congressional District, but lost in the Republican primary. Then in 2022, Milleron ran as a judge for Texas 113th District Court, but he lost to Judge Rabea Collier. Finally, in 2024, Milleron was elected as the judge for the 215th District Court. Milleron won against Elaine Palmer by about 300 votes. Governor said that outcome surprised him. I had figured that he was never going to get elected or anything, said Governick, but I was wrong. Now, as a sitting judge, Governick said he believes the stakes are even higher. The damage that an incompetent judge can do is enormous, he said. This is somebody who's going to be presiding over multi-million-dollar lawsuits and making decisions that impact people's life. Judge firm contacted. KPRC2 reached out to Judge Nathan Milleron for comment, but has not received a response. We also contacted the former law firm, which is only the Hughes Waters Arkansas LLP, and did not hear back. Milleron's term ends in 2028.
I want to show you something funny. Hold on, wait, on my
Thank you, Jae Won Jung, for writing this, because oh my gosh, that was so funny.
It was so good, right? And I like seriously, I'm gonna put them in their article. I'll link it in the chat. I'm gonna link it in the description. And but what I thought was so funny, one of my favorite quotes when I reposted this one right here, he said, "Frame this quote and hang it in the Louvre. Put it like this: I would not hire Nathan Milleron to mow my own lawn." I mean, seriously, and I'm just like, how is this guy not vetted? Here, you guys, we need to boost this. I don't know what to do. Like, why is no one reading this article? Maybe is it the way they're posting it or something? Like this was a viral topic. I feel like the algorithm is doing them wrong. Here, I'm gonna put it here too. I'm gonna say, yo, read this. Okay. You know, why are more people not seeing this? CJ?
I don't know. I didn't know about the Judge IT case until you brought it to me. It wasn't on my algo. I haven't seen it on TikTok or anything.
Well,
So
I
it's
mean,
probably
just
like
like
a niche case.
Well, here's something else. Here, let me share this tab. So because I was doing my research on him, and I found on his Facebook where he said this is what he had responded 2 days after it went viral. It says the video has been edited, right? And I was like, Judge Nathan J. Milleron tries to make a joke here in response to his viral dumpster fire. Sir, are all the videos edited? And the emails to your clerks were edited too, right? Like, and then this person commented, the IT guy can make a joke, but you can't. I mean, like, I know that you did some great coverage about people's like responses to things. Um, this is a judge who I don't know what he was thinking, but apparently he's deleted most of his posts. I don't know about the Facebook one. I didn't go back to check that one, but yeah, and that's not the only thing. There was okay, so here was the chapter so let me make it bigger. Okay, here we go. Here was the chapter 13, and my chat, we went over this already, and it was dismissed, and so he still owes a bunch of money, and this is just from last year, and we're like, how is he not vetted? Honestly, because like when you look at these numbers, I mean, this is not like a joke. Like, look at this. Like his American Express had like 330,000. Some people said that was a typo, but I mean, is it? Like, I don't know. Okay, even if it is the 33,000, it's still a lot. you know, and like someone said this LVNV funding is like they take like other debt or something. I think someone said his Discover card, like, you know, 6,000. JP Morgan Chase, he had 10,000, 12,000. I mean, like Bank of America, 7,000. How does he have this much debt? Like, that's kind of crazy to me.
Let's answer Mary Nat. She said, I have no clue what's happening or what this is about, but if y'all are talking about it, I want in. I love that. But this is this incompetent judge that uh DFJ has been covering. And it's
And
just
this
so
is in
funny
Harris
because
County, Texas, okay? But there was actually another Harris County judge that was, and now I'm not going to be able to find it. I don't know if anyone saw this, but he actually was found guilty of, I want to say, what was it? Oh my God, it was like, I want to say like corruption or something. But he, and again, an elected official, but he is still an elected paid official until he is sentenced, which is so crazy to me. Yeah, so oh yeah, Hidalgo, that's who it is. Let me pull that up just so you guys can see this. I'm like, what is going on in Harris County? They need to vet these judges better, like before they get on the ballot. It needs to be like, you need to pass a very basic background check, you know? I'm not gonna be able to find the most recent one. This is disappointing because this viral judge took over the internet. But yeah, sorry. So maybe we shouldn't go there. Let's just go back to this one. I'll bring it up to you guys next time. But yeah, anyways. And yeah, he berated his staff. We read those emails. So, anyways, new cases. You guys ready for this?
let's give him some new cases to
Mary says, "Why is it always in Texas?" This
yeah,
Trish.
it's
Oh, that's such a good joke. I can't believe we didn't think of this. Houston, we have a problem.
love that, Trish.
We do. It is the judge. They're judges. They need to figure that out. It's not okay. Yeah, it is crazy. Suspend his pay, and I feel so bad. I knew I should have saved it for everyone, but I was like, we're gonna have so much to talk about anyways that I didn't, and now but we'll go back to it next time. And so okay, so you said I'm in the middle of emotional Pop Tarts, so I'm ready. Okay, good. Well, we have some new cases here. So, anyways, let us go to right here. Are they lemon pound cake Pop Tarts? Okay, Letecia, girl, did you watch this trial?
Dude, I sleuthed for that trial. That was dude, we sleuthed, we pinpointed all these places. I mean, I remember there was one sleuth that actually pinpointed that side road where they ended up finding him at one point. They had that on their
Bridge.
target list. But yeah, no, this was a case I actively worked on to find that little boy, and then it turned out into all this. And then I read every single piece of document that came out, as horrific as it was. Seemed like every doc drop that happened, more and more horrific stuff. And then the trial was just crazy. But she was locked up, and now
Yeah,
the
so and
newest
I
is
gave a very quick little like recap last time to let you guys know about it. And yeah, basically, I mean, we'll go through it really quick. This article might cover it too, but yeah, she murdered her stepson, and she this is one of the dumbest criminals ever. Like, her Google search basically was a confession to every question, from like, how do I get a face transplant? How often did they check under bridges?
and then she used her daughter to help her clean it up. It was crazy.
Oh my God. And then she, in the suitcase, yeah, she had her kid like help move the suitcase. And she even went to fake polygraph.com and put in the questions like, did I murder my stepson? And like asked for this fake polygraph. And the owner was like, this sounds like a real crime. I'm not going to send it to you. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so
she
much here.
literally took a fake polygraph test and
Well, she
asked
tried
herself
to
these
order one and he said
questions.
no. He said no.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And they were
crazy.
like, wait, because the questions she put in there,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. She was like, did I murder my stepson? No.
like you guys thought Donna Adelson and all them were like, remember, where's Khaleesi? You know, no criming, don't do your criming.
No,
Um,
it's crazy.
like she was bad at criming, Letecia Stauch. She bought all the cleaners, and then she didn't know how to lie. First, it was like he had a stomach ache, and then it was like he couldn't come to the phone because she
Yeah.
had already unalived him, and then the dad was calling him. So it's just it's
So
a horrific
this is what
case
happened.
of child abuse.
Yeah, it was terrible. Exactly, CJ, you're right. That's what I think it really was in the end, is that she offed him because the child abuse was so horrific, and they couldn't hide it anymore. Something went really bad that night, and yeah, and this is exactly what Lori says. So she was guilty as hell and got a new trial on a technical issue. It was because apparently one of the jurors was related to the prosecution, and so we're going to read that. But there was one more thing still to this day, and I don't know what you think, CJ, but I swear I feel like there was some divine intervention here, because like that bridge only gets checked once every 2 years, and that's how like basically she ended up getting caught in the end. So okay, Letecia Stauch's case, retrial ordered after Colorado Court of Appeals reviews jurors' connection to prosecution. The district attorney's office will attempt to seek a review of this decision in the Colorado Supreme Court, and if necessary, will be prepared to present the case to a new jury. And this is her. And the other people, they were calling her like Cousin It with her hair, because like her hair was wild like in the trial, and she would always like put it over the front of her face to hide, in my opinion, that she was laughing. I mean, she did not take this seriously at all. It was kind of ridiculous. Yeah, okay. El Paso County, Colorado. The woman who was found guilty by a jury in 2023 for killing her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon Stauch, had her convictions overturned after the Colorado Court of Appeals determined a juror in the trial had a connection to the prosecutor's office. As a result, a retrial has been ordered, but the Fourth Judicial District can ask the Colorado Supreme Court to reverse the lower court's decision. The state appellate court issued their findings in Letecia Stauch's case on Thursday. The juror in question is considered, quote, biased due to the connection to the district attorney, the court ruled. Letecia Stauch is currently serving life in prison without the possibility of parole after she was previously convicted of killing Gannon Stauch and moving his body. She pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but a jury determined she was sane when she stabbed Gannon Stauch 18 times, hit him 4 times over the head, and shot at him 3 times. I mean, this is the precious Gannon. The opinion
Dude, that case broke me.
What?
I was like, that case broke me.
Yeah, I watched the
Remember in the
entire.
beginning, she said he walked to his friends or something, and that's why
I
they
watched
were
the
searching for
entire
a
trial.
missing kid.
This is like what we say when we say like some people are just evil. In my opinion,
Yeah.
is like people like her. She like said, yeah. Oh, she made up so many things. She said he went to a friend's house. He ran away. Like he was a bad kid who always ran away. And then she said, oh, like the cartels took him, and then they like kidnapped her and AR'd her.
SH'd her, yeah.
S8'd her. She claimed that she was S8'd
Yeah,
by
SA'd.
some random people, just made it up. And then it was, oh, he was really naughty and he did it to himself. I mean, it's so evil. Like this person is so evil. And this kid was such a sweetheart. And like the whole thing just makes me so sad. So the opinion released Thursday concluded a biased jury deliberated and accordingly, Stauch's convictions must be reversed. It reads that the juror, during jury selection, indicated his son-in-law worked as a deputy district attorney in the same office as El Paso County District Attorney Michael Allen. Allen was the lead prosecutor in Letecia Stauch's case. The juror was questioned further about if he had discussed the case with his son-in-law and if he might be influenced outside of the evidence presented in court. Based on his answers, the court did not dismiss the juror, the opinion reads. Our Supreme Court has consistently recognized the type of error implicated here, a violation of the defendant's rights to an unbiased jury, as so harmful that it warrants automatic reversal, the document continues. Al Stauch, Gannon's father, told Denver 7 that he is truly torn about potentially needing to repeat this process, but his resolve has never been greater. The end result will be the same, and although we do not wish to journey this path again, we stand with those who will handle this case and believe wholeheartedly in their ability to finish this once and for all, his statement reads. Denver 7 contacted the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office about an interview on Thursday, and they sent the following statement. Today we learned of the appellate court's ruling in the Gannon Stauch murder case. The court's opinion is a disappointing result for this office, Gannon's family, and everyone who loves him. Still, we remain undeterred in our search for ultimate justice in this case. We will consult with the Attorney General's office about seeking review of today's decision in the Colorado Supreme Court, and if necessary, we will be prepared to present the case to a new jury here in El Paso County. The 4th Judicial District has 42 days to file a petition for writ of certiorari with the Colorado Supreme Court asking for their review of this case. What happens in that process will determine if and when a retrial is scheduled. So we don't have a date of a retrial because they're going to do that first. Letecia Stauch's attorney, Eric Samler, said he would be surprised if the higher court does not review the case. Next, Samler told Denver 7 his client will likely be retried. Prosecutors and trial judges have long been aware of the law regarding juror qualification, Samler said. Common sense tells us a prospective juror whose son-in-law works for the prosecuting attorney should be disqualified from service on a criminal jury. Oh my God. He's right. And I hate her, but he's right. Like, what the hell was the prosecution thinking?
And I'm like, and
Okay,
how
and
did
here's,
that slip by? This is what I keep like,
well, it
even
didn't
with the
slip
Blake
by.
case where like stuff was just slipping by. Like, how
No,
is this
this
lawyer
didn't
even?
slip by though. They questioned him and asked if he would be biased, and he said no. So I don't understand if they were out of strikes and that the judge should have stepped in and been like, no, get out of here. Like
Well, it's
this.
like in the Diddy case, there was one that they let through that he said his wife would watch the news every morning and like he'd been listening to stuff about Diddy, and you know like how you're not supposed to like consume information prior to being on the jury or whatever.
Mhm.
And they let him through, and I always wondered why.
Well, that's a little bit different. This is like if your relative is the prosecuting attorney, that's
Yeah.
like much different than like, oh, my wife listens to the news and I've heard some background noise on the case. This is like this is a something that like is just to be obvious. So in my opinion, if I want to see if it was raised on the record, why they didn't strike him. I think that was on the prosecution or at least on the judge. So I cannot believe they are going to put this family through this. I remember one of the parts of the trial that like really sticks with me is when her own brother, Letecia Stauch's brother, had to testify on the stand, and he was like so upset, like he was in tears, and he looked at her and he was like, "You're evil," and like he was crying, and the judge like made everyone leave and told him like you have to hold it together, like take your time, but you need to hold it together and let us know when you're ready to come back. And so then he like was fighting through tears because he was like, this was what she did was so evil. And she almost tricked him because at some point I think her brother helped put one of the suitcases with his body into the car. CJ, are you doing, there's like background noise or something?
No, it's my
Is that your
Wi-Fi.
audio?
Let me try and go out of the Wi-Fi and into the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to read this background real quick. Background on the Letecia Stauch case in January
Okay, does it
2000.
sound better now?
No, not good. Robot.
Not good. Okay, let me just log all the way out and then I'll come back. Sorry about that,
Okay,
y'all.
no problem. And okay, so while she's out, you want me to check, let me check in the chat. We need to start holding judges more accountable. I agree. How do you hold it together? I know. And what's crazy is that was Leticia's brother that cried.
Honestly, it's so weird. It keeps saying, what you call it? You're not using Wi-Fi, but my Wi-Fi's on. But do I sound better a little bit?
Yeah, you sound better.
Okay. But
Oh,
yeah,
and
it was just a horrific case, and for them to have to go through it all over again,
mhm.
it's sucky.
Yeah, and Lori says, I was told by my brother, I was always told because my brother was a police officer, I would have been struck. I mean, yes and no. It depends. But yeah, if the officer was like involved in the case or like in that same county or something, probably. Yeah, exactly, Christina. It didn't slip by. They knew. That's the part. I didn't watch the voir dire, so maybe like I want to go
But
back and
even
see.
though they knew, I mean, they still let it slip by after they knew. That's what I'm saying. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why would they know and then still let it happen? I guess that's what I meant.
Pam says no sound. You might have to restart your okay, never mind. It's okay. I was gonna say you might have to restart your YouTube, but StreamYard said there was like a little bit glitchy. Sound is buzzy for you right now, Kelth? Uh-oh, it's not letting me click that.
Is
I
it
think
me?
mm-mm. I'm gonna leave now and come back in. Do you want to? Can you start reading this if I make it bigger?
Yeah.
Okay, you read this. I'm gonna come out and come back in. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
on January 27th, 2020, Letecia Stauch reported 11-year-old Gannon Stauch missing, saying he had gone to a friend's house and had not returned home. Letecia Stauch, oh, she went out, so we can't read it. Sorry about that, y'all. Technical difficulties. But StreamYard has been having problems with oh, Kenny says she's not hearing anything. Yep, CJ's voice is fine. Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry, it
Could
went
just
out
be
on
my
me.
ears, said Gets Walker. Yeah, it took off the what you call it.
I'm so sorry.
That's
I
okay.
forgot.
They were saying that we sound okay now, so yeah, he was 11, little baby. So yeah, we were at the part where we're recapping the case. It was Gannon. Yeah, Gannon. She said he walked over to a friend's house, which did not make any sense. The crazy part is how many times she lied to the dad. She kept changing the story.
Yes.
It says Letecia Stauch was his stepmother, and investigators believe that was the day she had killed the boy. A few weeks later, on March 2nd, 2020, Letecia Stauch was arrested in connection with his sorry, I can't see because I have the little ticker. Okay, there we go. In connection with his disappearance, she was ultimately charged and convicted of first-degree murder of a child under 12 by someone in a position of trust, tampering with the deceased human body, and tampering with physical evidence. Shortly after her arrest on March 18th, Gannon Stouch's body was found inside of a suitcase in Pace, Florida. An autopsy report listed that he had died of a gunshot wound and skull fracture. Prosecutors alleged that Letecia Stauch had shot and stabbed Gannon Stauch, then drove his body to an area off Colorado Highway 105 in South Perry Park Road before ultimately driving the body to Florida. She pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity in February 2022, claiming she had suffered from a psychotic break. Her defense lawyer told the court that his client had killed Gannon Stauch, but he was suffering from a major psychotic because she was suffering from a major psychotic crack as a result of childhood trauma when the murder occurred. The defense's main witness, Dr. Dorothy Lewis, told the courtroom during the trial that Letecia Stauch suffered from a dissociative identity disorder.
Wait, did you remember watching that part? Can I just say that doctor, first of all, is insane. That doctor was like Letecia Stauch. Did you see that video footage where she pretended to go back and forth between being a Russian with a
Yeah, and
different
she was
name?
trying to pretend that she was crazy. Yeah, that was
It
crazy. It
was
was like a
so fake. It presented so fake. It was like the worst acting I've ever seen. It was like Blake Lively level. Like what are you doing? And she's like, I'm Maria. Do you remember?
Yeah. Prosecutors argued that she took steps to cover up her actions, which served as proof that she knew exactly what she had done was wrong, and was therefore saying they contended in court that she stabbed the boy 18 times, hit him 4 times on the head, shot him at 3 times, and then hid the evidence and changed her story multiple times. The jury rejected the claim of insanity and found her guilty of all charges on May 8th, 2023. This came after 5 weeks of testimony from law enforcement, mental health experts, and others. The judge in this case, Gregory Warner, called Letecia Stauch's actions the most horrific he had ever seen. He gave her 2 life sentences without parole on the murder charges, plus 12 years for the tampering and 18 months for the other tampering. During the sentencing, Gannon's parents addressed the court to explain how their loss will impact them for the rest of their lives. 2 days after the verdict and sentencing, Gannon's mother, Landon Bullard, welcomed Denver 7 inside of a short-term rental in Colorado Springs where she had stayed through the trial. Today's a weird day, she said. I still feel like the weight is lifted, but also feel some, sorry, I can't read that word, emptiness. I just guess it's peace and freedom that's kind of instilling inside of me. Guilty is a word that I've been waiting to hear. It has a whole bunch of emotions all at once. But the main thing was finally, like finally, after 3 years, which to me is way too long,
Mm-hmm.
finally, my son has justice. So yeah, it was a roller coaster for sure. And now they're gonna have to go through it all over again to
Yeah.
retrial. Given
And
that the judge is gonna, I mean, the jury will probably still sentence her.
yeah, exactly. And
There's too much evidence.
oh, Mary says, I'm so sorry. Love you guys, but I can't do this before bedtime. I'm gonna keep up the good work and nothing personal. Okay, so I get it. I get it. And the here's like the good part of it, right? I mean, again, there's never really good, but on the positive note is that I did feel like the people that investigated this case did a really good job. I mean, they didn't mess around. Actually, I have a slide for that, but I'm gonna have to I'm gonna share this tab instead. Let's see if it'll let me. Because I just want to show you guys. I mean, it was like this is like a confession. Here are some things that she like Googled, for example, in the trial. It was like, how long does it take to get DNA results from a crime scene? How long does it take police to get DNA results in Colorado Springs? I need a social security number to hide. apply for a social if I live on an Indian reservation? Do they check in ditches under bridges? Maintenance under ditches under bridges. Sorry. Can I get a plea deal with no jail time? Criminal negligent homicide in Colorado. Can I find a rich man? Can I mean, Bluff My Call app. What are some Mexican drug cartel phone numbers? What do they do when they find a person's body in another state? Make a fake Snapchat video. Can the FBI go to Los Canos? Can can a recording of someone's voice and change the words? Can someone's words in a video? I need a fake marriage license. I mean, I just
Yeah.
think that this is like it was so and
She was bad at criming for sure.
she was bad at criming, and the people that found the body, I think, did such a good job on the stand when they explained like how rare they go there and how like the whole thing about when it was found. And I don't know. I just think that like, it was like, I think in this case, like there was angels or something that helped get justice for him, in my opinion. And so we're not entirely done with her, because she has another lawsuit where she's representing herself pro se. I'm just going to share this tab instead. And this is for the Federal Department of Corrections, and it just says the petitioner pro se and respectfully represents that she was unlawfully deprived of her liberties at Topeka Correction Facility in Kansas. Plaintiff is housed at TCF on an interstate connection. What does that say? Compound between the state of Arkansas and the state of Colorado. Okay, all right. Blah 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 blah. She says that interstate corrections is violating the plaintiff's civil rights and illegally detaining her in the state of Kansas. I don't know. This whole thing is crazy. It just says denying access to Colorado courts, criminal appeals, inadequate law library, blocking habeas corpus, interfering with a legal claim.
Oh my God, she's again claiming SH. Oh God.
No way. Where do you see that?
SH and abuse right there. At the bottom. Right there's SH and abuse from defendant number 5, deliberate interference from prison officials.
Oh
and
my
prison policy.
God.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy case. Thanks y'all for sticking through it. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's like a whole nother, like if you want to, I'm just going to put this in the description for anyone who wants to continue down that rabbit hole of crazy. But yeah, so then we're going to, I lost audio. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you, yeah. Who said
Okay.
that?
It set it up on the top of my screen. Can you guys hear me still? The chat?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
You
I
can hear
think
me?
it was just audio. Yeah, I think it's just the audio on the like video if you put
Oh,
something
okay,
over there.
okay. So then, okay, so let's just go. We only have like a few more slides left. Trevor Bauer. Okay. And actually, can I put I'm going to show a clip of this real quick, and I'm going to do a poll. And you guys let me know after the poll if you're interested in this case, okay? So,
But there's no sound on the clip. You're going to have to remove it from the stage and then put it back up on the
hear this?
stage. No, you can't hear it.
Hold on.
You're going to have to remove it from the stage and put it back up. That's why you lost the audio. Usually that's what happens.
Oh, okay. So let me go to this. What about if I go like this? Can you hear it?
No, you just have to completely remove it. Like take it all the way out. Stop sharing. And then remove it. And then, yeah, now go back in and then it should work.
Okay, tell me if you can hear the sound. Hold on. Can you hear that?
No, you have to, did you remove it all the way? Not just remove it from the stage, but like click the side button, you know, the little 3 arrows, and like stop sharing completely.
I did. I stopped sharing.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share this instead. Hold on. Okay, tell me if you can hear this.
You got to add it to the stage.
Oh. You guys, we're almost there. I'm just saying we're almost done. The whole reason though I'm going to show this is because we're going to do a poll to see if you guys are going to be interested in this, Letecia, or whatever the one is after this. And I think those were the only two, because I actually have people coming into town tomorrow, so I'm not going to be able to stream again probably until Monday. So you're getting all of DFJ right now. So anyways, okay, so let's see if this works. Tell me if you
Last
can
3 years, 2 women have been legal.
You can hear it?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit. I'm going to put it on 1, 2. You think that's good, or 1, 5? 1, 2?
1, 2 is fine.
Okay.
action against me. Lindsay Hill started all this. You may remember her from this video as the girl who set me up and lied to the world in an attempt to take my money. Well, today, the only other one, Darcy Adana Asimonu, has been criminally indicted for committing felony fraud against me and another man. So now she's facing up to 16 years in prison. Her claims are even more absurd than Lindsay's were, so here's some of the details. We had one plain sexual encounter in December of 2020, nothing that could be considered remotely rough. She initiated it, but don't take my word for it, take hers. This is a picture and text message she sent me the next morning explaining why she came on to me. And for months afterwards, she repeatedly requested to sleep with me again. For example, this text from January 7th, 2021. At one point, she even requested a sample of my sperm so she could have my child whenever she wanted to in the future. Now, it's hard to keep track, but she's made at least 4 7-figure demands over the last few years. More than a year after the one time we slept together, and only after Lindsay Hill made up her false allegations, Adana retained a lawyer. She then demanded $3.6 million and claimed I forced her to have an abortion, leaving her emotionally devastated and irretrievably damaged by it. But here's the thing, she never had an abortion because she was never even pregnant, and that's corroborated by her own medical records. When I refused to pay her the $3.6 million she was asking for, she made up a bogus sexual assault claim and filed a civil suit against me. In that version of her story, she claimed, for the first time by the way, that there was non-consensual sex, but her texts from the next morning show what actually happened. Remember this text in which she explains why she came on to me? She also claims that instead of an abortion, she actually had a miscarriage, but that's impossible, of course, because again, she was never even pregnant. We now have emails between her and the first 2 law firms that dropped her in which they acknowledge they never had any evidence to support her claims, but they'll try to get my money anyway. I then shared an audio recording I have in which Adana contradicts her own claims and asks me for money. In the emails, her lawyers agreed that that's insurmountable evidence, and they inform Adana that they can no longer represent her unless she can provide documentation or proof of her claims. And of course, she couldn't do that, so the law firm urged her to consult other law firms with different standards. Now, Adana has filed more than 10 police reports claiming sexual assault or harassment against other men, including at least one other professional athlete. But after the Scottsdale police completed their investigation into her claim against me, she's the one being indicted for felony fraud. And not just against me, against another man as well. She made up bogus sexual assault claims and attempted to extort him too. And it gets worse. In my lawsuit against her, we subpoenaed a witness whom she knew for relevant documents to use in our case. When she found out, she immediately made sexual assault claims against him too. Her MO is clear. Lie to men to get their money, extort them if she must, and when they refuse to pay, stop paying, or stop giving her what she wants, go to the police, accuse them of sexual assault, and file a civil suit against them to retaliate. And just so no one can say, well, he still has 2 other accusers, just because the first 2 are complete frauds doesn't mean the others are. Here's a couple facts about them. They both had lawyers first demand in excess of $3 million to not go public. In both cases, only after I refused to pay any sum of money did their lawyers make anonymous claims in the media. They both had the opportunity to file a criminal complaint against me. Neither of them did. They both had the opportunity to file a civil suit against me. Neither of them did. They both had the opportunity to participate in Lindsay Hill's civil suit against me. They could have even done so anonymously. They both refused. One of them even submitted a statement to the court stating that she never made public accusations against me. The other refused to participate so vehemently that Lindsay Hill took legal action against her, trying to force her to participate. She still refused. So they both had the opportunity to testify under penalty of perjury. Neither of them did. One can only wonder why. Perhaps it's because all of their claims against me are lies. Now, it's been 2 years since these women and their lawyers attempted to weaponize anonymous claims in the media against me to take my money. I addressed them at the time, and as far as I'm concerned, it's in the past. But if there comes a time in the future where I need to defend myself further, I will not hesitate to do so. For now, there's no reason to speak further on this topic, though, because outside of Adana, who's now been indicted with felony fraud, there are no claims against me, no ongoing investigations, and no outstanding lawsuits. At this point, I'm not sure what else I can possibly do to prove my innocence in all this. I did not do what I was accused of. And every institution that our society is entrusted to rule on issues like these, like courts, judges, law enforcement officers, prosecutors, they all agree with me. They've rejected every single claim made against me, even going as far as charging one of my accusers with a felony. If any evidence of any of these claims actually existed, I would have been charged, or at the very least arrested. But that never happened. What else do I have to do to prove that this entire situation has been a massive lie? This is insane. At what point do I get to go back to work and continue earning a living?
Especially unwarranted. The court need not address issue of spoliation sanctions at this juncture, and there are no trialable issues with respect to... Hold on, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. So that's the Trevor Bauer. Yes, someone asked if that was Trevor Bauer. Yes, that is Trevor Bauer.
I have no idea why that just went to that other...
It went to your next video, I think.
That's so funny. Okay, let me go back to this. Let me go back to here. Hold on, share this tab instead. So this is what a few interesting things. Present... Sorry, you guys, like technical difficulties, it happens. So yeah, this is the one that is going on in Maricopa County, same court as Laura Owens, the one that Court of Random Opinion covers. Laura Knighty, you know, it's under Rachel Mitchell, this the county attorney there. And what's another interesting thing here, here are her 2 charges. It's theft by extortion or exposing secrets and fraudulent schemes and artifices. So she and it's starting on Friday. I think it's jury selection. Yeah, because these are the dates. So is this a trial here? I think it was a pre-trial or a pre-trial conference. And then for this one, for the 10th, which is Friday, it said I think it said jury selection. And then I think on Monday is when it's going to start. So I think it'll be really interesting. And there was it wasn't just him, it was another person who she defrauded. So there's 2 people, but it's this, the county's bringing against her, or the state of Arizona, I should say. But I think that one could be really interesting too, especially if we can somehow get the footage. And do you remember this takedown of the other accuser? This one?
Lindsay, I think there are a lot of sexual assault survivors who would say you don't look traumatized there and you don't look beaten. And this is allegedly after you say that he brutally attacked you and you had bruises all over your body. You had bruises all over your face. I don't see any bruises there. And I certainly don't see a woman who's just been traumatized by something horrible.
Again, I can hear it.
They said no sound.
Can they not hear it?
No sound.
That's weird. I could hear it.
Sound is getting bad. We'll skip that. Can you hear?
I don't hear it over. I don't hear it over on my end.
Is my sound getting bad? Can you guys hear me? I wonder if my sound. I'm breaking up. Okay, one more time. I'm gonna come back out and come back in. Do you want to maybe look at the comments?
Yep. Let's look at the comments.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Can you guys still hear me, or am I also broken up? It says it would be interesting to know if something like ley lines ran through these places, because Maricopa is like a cesspool of crazy. Yes, and we were just talking about Letecia Stauch in Colorado, and Colorado is also one that a ton of cases come out of.
How's that?
The Barry Morphew squirrel killer. CJ sounds fine. Okay, cool.
I do.
My sound is a little staticky too. I don't know what's going on with the sound.
All right. So can you guys?
But yeah, Maricopa County. There's a ton of stuff. There's that Laura Owen stuff.
It says it's also on you.
It's also on you, CJ. Okay. Well, I can't log out, I don't think, and come back in until she comes back in.
I'm back in.
I don't know if it'll remove the chat. Oh, now DFJ is up on the stage, but we can't hear her.
Oh, you can't hear me?
YouTube was having problems too. The StreamYard was saying that YouTube was having problems, so it could also be just a connection to YouTube.
Okay, it says DFJ is good. You can't hear me, CJ?
Okay, I can't even hear DFJ now. Let me log out and log back in.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think we're going to, okay, so can you guys hear me? They said yours was messed up. Can you hear CJ? CJ?
Can y'all hear me now? Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. How's this, you guys? So we do have a notice on the top of our screen that says YouTube is breaking up is contagious. Now it's good, Rose is wild. Okay, I just need someone to confirm. I hate when the sound is bad. So we do have a warning from the YouTube, on StreamYard that says they're having API issues, which I don't even know what that stands for, but it does say there's issues with streaming. You still hear breaking up.
Was it just me? Did it come back when I came back? Now we're both breaking up. It's back and forth. Wow. Okay, well, I don't know what to do.
I hear sound in the background. Do you have a video playing? CJ? Okay. Can you guys hear me? I just want to know if you guys can hear me because it's really bad. I'm so sorry. It's better now. Okay. See, I think some of you are behind because you're saying you're both are clear, but there is no CJ. I just want to say there is a warning on the screen. There's 2 CJs. I don't know which one she wants me to add. So there is an issue with the API, so I'm going to probably end it soon. Hey, Angela. Let me check. CJ, you have 2 things on here. Which one are you?
Oh my God, I don't even know how that happened.
Okay, can you guys hear?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, CJ. All right, this is the final test chat. Sorry about that. Can you hear CJ?
Yes, now it sounds better for both of us. Okay. I blame Blake.
Um,
Nah, it was all the
I'm
bad
so
juju from
sorry. I'm so
Leticia.
sorry
It
to the
didn't start till we started talking about Leticia Stauch. It was all her bad juju. That's why
um
that's why homegirl left. She was like, "No, this is too bad before bedtime."
so what I'm gonna do is let's we'll check in on the poll, but I'm gonna do that at the end. I just want to make sure that yeah, she was cloned. CJ, there was two of you. I don't know what that was. I want to just go to final thoughts then. I'm almost scared to pull up the
Wait, are we
sharing.
doing the poll?
Yeah, can we check the poll? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if I can't see it from my end. I don't think.
Okay, hold on. Let
I'll
me
have
go
to
in
see
and
it
see if I
on
can
my.
check it. 1 second. Let me go here.
Evil
Okay.
Letty. I love Kenny. She's like, I blame Evil Letty.
Okay, so the only thing for me is I can't see it. I think I have to end it. Did everyone put their votes in for the poll? I'm going to end it. Okay, let's see if the results come in. All right, the results are 69% say Trevor Bauer, false fake accuser. Okay, I'm glad you guys said that because only 8% for Letecia Stauch. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. The 69% for the Trevor Bauer. I just want to say I don't even know if you know this, CJ, but there's actually so much there. And I was telling CJ this earlier. I had been clocking that girl in the very beginning. I have a whole file on it that I never did anything with because, life happens, other cases happen, and I put it away. So there's more robots. I'm gonna cry.
Uh,
Um,
I like Christina saying, we need to sage the chat.
it's all good now.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
they're behind.
uh, Angela,
Angela said I admittedly had no idea who was on that poll. Well, Letty was the dang child abuser that some people left. They couldn't handle it. But yeah, it's a dark case. It is. I mean, I'm not gonna refollow. I'm gonna kind of follow it just like to see, what like the process is, but not like in debt to where I'm gonna be watching it. Because last time it was live streamed. Remember, we got to see like her crazy eyes and everything.
she had her hair over her head, her face when she would laugh. I'm scared to talk. I don't want to ruin the sound for the chat. Lori, where are you in Arizona? Because one of those cases is in Arizona. And if I lived there, I would definitely be checking out at least opening statements or something. Okay, so let's just give our final thoughts. Let me know if you guys can hear us or not.
Yeah, she's saying it's fine. She was just saying it was the Reynolds.
But what are the bots? I want to know. If I have bots in my chat, that means I made it, but I don't think so. I mean, if there's okay, you guys can hear me. So why don't you give final thoughts, CJ? I can't even share this. Hold on. I have to go like this. Hold on, I'm gonna share the screen. So sorry, you guys. Thanks for sticking with us because I'm gonna miss you all. Like
I
I
saw a
had
lot of new faces. Well, I don't know. They might be like regular faces to you, but
mhm.
because I don't cover true crime, so there's a lot of like people in the chat I didn't recognize. But thank y'all.
Well, I just want to say, hold on, let me go here. Um, yeah, so I'm having the guest in town coming in tomorrow, and the where I stream is that's attached to the guest room, so I won't be able to stream. But I'm gonna miss all of you guys. And wait, why are you going to miss us? Because so I'm yeah again it's Ozzy's having guests people visit him that love him, and they're gonna be here until Monday. So I won't be able to stream here. I might it doesn't the only other room that really would work what doesn't sound as good in my bedroom, so I just feel bad. So anyways, that's why I want to kind of go out on all of this. If I can put together shorts or something, maybe I will. But and if anything changes, I'll let you know. But yeah, so CJ, final thoughts. We did it. We covered so much. You guys, we took you on a crazy train. Tell me your final thoughts, girl.
Final thoughts is we need to sage the chat for one. Some Palo Alto we need to bring if we're gonna be talking about Leticia next time. Wear some protection. No, the final thoughts on Leticia is yeah, it's a dark case, and obviously, I think that with all the evidence, it's still going to be the same result for her. Final thoughts on Nancy Guthrie is, I mean, hopefully now that people are putting the guy's face out, there's better luck at finding him. I still think it's a girl just from the eyes, but the more I look at it, I'm like, yeah, you guys are right. It's just like the border of the mask. but for some reason the eyes look either like a feminine guy or like a woman from my perspective. Um, so we'll keep an eye on that one for you guys. And then the David one is the one that I'm the most sad with because I want to know why the parents aren't cooperating and what the dang Texas court is going to tell them. Like, is the Texas court also going to be like, oh, well, they have to go testify and then it restarts the process? Like, how long is it going to be? A lot of arrests don't happen till like a year later. Like, if you think about like even Stephen Morphew, the squirrel killer, he didn't get arrested until years, and then he got arrested and let go, remember? Because they didn't have the evidence, and they're like, well, we're gonna wait until the snow melts to find the body and then
That
re-indict
case
him.
is crazy.
That
And
case is crazy, the squirrel killer. I
oh
have
my
it
God.
on my channel. Me and DFJ did.
And you never shared the clip you got of the daughter who has the crazy eyes.
Yeah, I know. We never went back to that case, but there was something recent. Remember I told you today that he was filing a civil lawsuit against the city, and
Crazy.
obviously it got dismissed now that he's been rearrested because he was basically like, oh, they falsely like accused me and blah blah blah, and now that he's rearrested, it's moot. But I really thought the Travis Bauer one, I'm really sad for that, and the IT judge, because it's true crime adjacent and it's not as like heavy or dark as these three other cases. So
Well,
definitely want to hear more on the Trevor Bauer stuff, because even the Laura Owens' stuff is so funny because she went all the way, like she just kept lying, and like she's in the court still lying. Like there's so much lies, and this seems like it's pretty similar. So
it is
looking
totally
forward to the Trevor.
it is totally similar. And what was I going to say? That with the other thing, the Trevor Bauer one, so the blonde girl, that the first one, Lindsay Hill, that falsely accused him, her lawyer was Brian Friedman from who represents Wayfair, and
Full
that's why
circle, full
full
circle, y'all.
circle.
Like the way all these cases intertwine.
Sean Hawley represented Trevor Bauer, and so I think that'll be a good one to get into because the blonde one, Lindsay Hill, she violated their settlement agreement and was crazy posting on X. She put me on blast because, I mean, I didn't even say anything about her. I said something about the other accuser, and she missed the point and had all of her followers attack me. But anyway, she ended up owing Trevor Bauer over $300,000. And finally had to nuke her ex account. She was arrested for a DUI. She went on Alex Stein, you know that guy, the funny guy, Alex Stein. Anyway, so there's a lot there, and I think that'll be interesting to go through. The other thing was, yeah, the IT one. I mean, I just feel like that's a rabbit hole. That judge, that there, I feel like I planted the seed, and I'm just like, come on, people in Texas, pull out all this stuff. Tell us what's going on. This guy, there's so much there, and I want to know like how he got to where he is. And the Letecia Stauch had the least ones, and I understand that it's not for everyone. And hopefully, maybe it'll get reversed. I doubt it. I think we're going back to trial. So, but I always love talking true crime with you because I feel like, we like to get all the details, and we always want justice, and that's what we're here for. So, did I lose you?
Yo, I'm still here.
Oh, and anyways, and you're going to be going on tomorrow morning again. CJ's been streaming around the clock, so I just want to say thank you for being a guest here. And
Yeah, sorry if I was low energy or like it's a lot. I haven't been in true crime in a long time, and yeah, it was a lot of heavy stuff. So sorry if it felt low energy to y'all.
yeah, a little bit. Just kidding. No, yeah. Normally, CJ and I, it's a high energy, and so but I know like you've been doing a lot and whatever. Maybe I'm sure it
It
still
was
works
the
out.
Nanos fatigue. Y'all remember that when I spent time with the Nancy Guthrie case. That's why I'm like, this is kind of a test for me to revisit, and it just goes to show that maybe I shouldn't be doing any Nancy stuff, because y'all remember that I was covering the Nancy for like 3 or 4 days. I didn't sleep because I was sleuthing it out, and I would stay and watch. Remember JLR had like 24/7 round the clock.
Yeah, no, and I
We
I
were
covered
riding
that.
around to get gas with them. Like what? I don't know what got into
It,
me.
it was crazy because we thought that she was going to get caught, but the fact that Brian Enton went back still makes me think, because I feel like he has good sources. Maybe there's a reason he went back. Maybe something will happen. But I know my chat, like we covered it thoroughly. The recent stuff I didn't think was like relevant to like finding her, but until this like Sheriff Nano stuff went off the rails. The last thing that what I really, my actual final thought. Well, I also want to say thank you to the mods, Christina, Khaleesi. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here and engaging with the chat. And like, sorry for all the technical errors. The last thing, I think it's a crime. I made this music video that I thought was so cool, and it's gotten no views. It only has like 30 likes, and I think it really it's the best AI one I made, and so I wanted to go out on that, and I'm gonna upload it right now, and we were gonna go out on that. So thank you again, CJ, for being here. I'm dropping your links of where everyone can find you, even though I think everyone probably
Yeah.
already knows you. Who doesn't know CJ? And yeah, let's go out
Not
with it.
all lawsuits have a smoking gun, but Lively v. Wayfarer sure has one. Have you read her PGA letter? Girl, what were you thinking? 3 a.m. manic email from hell. You put your confessions in writing. No wonder your lawyers be fighting. They shouting about everything except your claims, because they know you already lost the game. That PGA is such a shame, but for Baldoni and Wayfarer, who you defamed, it's a smoking gun, gun, gun. For Team Truth, this was so fun. Even Judge Lyman Pound Cake couldn't save you from what you've done. That PGA letter is a smoking gun, and why Wayfarer has won. Team Truth.
Thank you, everyone. We love you. Good night.
Y'all.